I am Brigadier Jodha, and I am going to talk today on the story of the Jodhpur Lancers. Jodhpur Lancers एक जोधपुर स्टेट अर्स्टवाइल जोधपुर स्टेट की एक घुड़सवार सेना थी जो कि एक 1885 के अंदर उस दौरान जो वाइसरॉय थे इंडिया के, वाइसरॉय डफरिन ने एक स्कीम लेके आए जिसको बोलते थे इंपीरियल सर्विसेज ट्रुप्स स्कीम। इसी के तहत महाराजा जसवंत सिंह और उनके छोटे भाई महाराजा रेजिडेंट सर प्रताप सिंह जोधपुर ने वॉलंटियर किया कि जोधपुर स्टेट भी एक कैवलरी रेजिमेंट खड़ा करेगा और 1889 के अंदर ये जोधपुर इंपीरियल सर्विसेज ट्रुप्स स्कीम के अंदर ये रेजिमेंट खड़ी हुई। इस रेजिमेंट के अंदर मेरे ग्रैंडफादर भी 1889 में ज्वाइन किया, जो कि 40 साल तक फ्रॉम 1889 टू 1929 तक जोधपुर लांसर्स फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के अंदर अगस्त 1914 से लगा के और फरवरी 1920 तक 6 साल तक वो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के अंदर बहुत ही बहादुरी का नाम कमा के और वापस जोधपुर आई। जब फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर शुरू हुआ 5 अगस्त 1914 को, तो यहाँ पे जब न्यूज पहुंची तो सर प्रताप ने इमीडिएटली एक टेलीग्राम भेजा शिमला वाइसरॉयज ऑफिस that Jodhpur Lancers should immediately be sent for operations in France. वो 21 अगस्त को वापस टेलीग्राम शिमला से आया कि जोधपुर Lancers has been selected to proceed immediately on overseas operations for participating in First World War. तो उसके आने के बाद एक हफ्ते के अंदर जो जोधपुर Lancers ऑलरेडी तैयारियां कर रही थी, 29, 30 और 31 अगस्त 1914 को 3 स्पेशल ट्रेन के अंदर जोधपुर से अहमदाबाद होते हुए बॉम्बे अलेक्जेंड्रा डॉक्स तक पहुंची और वहां पे सिटी ऑफ बर्मिंघम एंड एसएस टैक्टिशियन 2 ट्रुप शिप के अंदर हॉर्सेज और हमारे जवान बैठ के और बॉम्बे से ये 14 सितंबर को वहां से रवाना हुए बॉम्बे से। उस दिन बहुत तूफानी बारिश हो रही थी, सी वॉज वेरी रफ, द हॉर्सेज एंड मैन हैड लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स इन ट्रेवलिंग एंड दे फाइनली रीच्ड थ्रू द सुएज कैनाल ऑन 12 अक्टूबर 1914 एट मार्शलिस्टॉक। जब मार्शलिस पहुंची तो वहां पे बहुत ज्यादा ठंड थी, बारिश लगातार गिर रही थी, लेकिन उनको 6-7 माइल दूर जो पोर्ट था वहां से उनको पैदल एक कैंप में ले जाके और जोधपुर लांसर्स को 14 डेज तक उस कैंप के अंदर रखा गया। उसके बाद जोधपुर लांसर्स अक्टूबर 1914 से लगा के और फरवरी 1918 तक जोधपुर लांसर्स फ्रांस के अंदर रही। जैसा हम सबको मालूम है, फ्रांस के अंदर फ्रेंच वॉरफेयर था, वहां पे कैवलरी का एक्शन का कोई मौका मिला ही नहीं, तो वो वहां पे उन्होंने बहुत सारी बेसिकली इन्फेंट्री रिलेटेड ऑपरेशंस के अंदर पार्ट लिया एट गिवेंसी, फेस्टुबर्ग एंड ऑन 1 December 1970 एट द फेमस कैवलरी एक्शन इन कैम्बराई। They took part in November 1914 at Ypres also. ऐसे करके वो तकरीबन entire 1915, 16, 17, 3.5 years they were in France. बहुत सारी कैजुअलिटी जोधपुर लांसर्स को भी हुई, लेकिन उस मुकाबले नहीं हुई जितनी कि हमारी इन्फेंट्री रेजिमेंट्स को हुई, बिकॉज ये कैवलरी रेजिमेंट दे वर इन द रियर ready for any cavalry action that might come across. They may get a opportunity to make a classical cavalry attacks in France. Sir Pratap, who was almost 70 years of age, and Maharaja Sumer Singh Ji of Jodhpur both accompanied the Jodhpur Lancers during the war to the France. Sir Pratap kept leading the British and the French generals, General Joffre and General Haig, that kindly allow Jodhpur Lancers cavalry charge that we were longing for to make a cavalry charge. But unfortunately, no opportunity came across during the stay of almost 3 years in France for Jodhpur Lancers. And finally, in February 1918, the Jodhpur Lancers was transferred to visit Palestine region, where they made a memorable actions. First in July 1918 at Jordan Valley, then the famous last great cavalry action on 23rd September 1918 at Haifa, and finally culminating in a beautiful cavalry operation at Aleppo, Syria on 26th October 1918. Of course, on 31st October, the armistice was signed, and then the Jodhpur remained during the Egyptian rebellion and during entire 1919 in the region of Aleppo, Syria, and came back to Jodhpur in February 1920. Now I am going to talk of the last great famous cavalry attack that the Jodhpur Lancers finally got the opportunity at Haifa, which is now in Israel, on 23rd September 1918. On 19th September 1918, Field Marshal LNB was the overall British forces commander in the region of Egypt and Palestine, and he gave the task to the 5th Cavalry Division commander, who in turn asked 15 Imperial Service Cavalry Brigade, consisting of Jodhpur, Mysore and Hyderabad Lancers. Brigadier C.R. Harbord from New Zealand was the brigade commander, and he tasked Jodhpur Lancers as the leading regiment on 23rd September to make a charge to capture the coastal port city of Haifa, which was on a height about 1500 feet above the sea level, located on the Mediterranean Sea at a height of about 1500 meters on Mount Carmel. On eastern side of it was River Kishon. The Jodhpur Lancers, having reached Balad al-Sheikh at around 10 o'clock in the morning, having participated through long marches from Jordan Valley till Haifa, they sent about early morning the patrols to recce the area, and the patrols brought useful information that heavy machine gun and field guns are occupying the only entry point to the town of Haifa. At that time, there was only one route that was going inside the city through the rail and road bridge, and there was a defile or a narrow passage. On one side was River Kishon, on left hand side or the western side were the lower slopes of Mount Carmel, and any troops that had to enter the town had to pass through this narrow passage known as defile. The defenders knew that enemy attacking the town of Haifa had to pass through defile, and they had posted 77mm guns and 10 machine guns covering all the routes of entry to the town of Haifa. A point to note, during the First World War, a machine gun was the most devastating weapon. Even a single machine gun, well sighted, could hold on to a complete regiment. Such was the destructive power of machine gun. Brigadier Harbord had then decided, after having got some useful information and from the reading of the maps, etc., that the only way to avoid casualties to the attacking regiment was to somehow bypass the defile. So he tasked the leading squadron commander, which was Captain Aman Singh, who was my grandfather, that at any cost the regiment shouldn't enter the defile. That day, the officiating commanding officer of Jodhpur Lancers was Major Dalpat Singh. Major Dalpat Singh was a heroic kind of an officer, having already got one of the earliest military crosses that was awarded to an Indian on 14 July 1918 during the action at Jordan Valley. Major Dalpat Singh in command. At 1200 hours, Brigadier Harbord's order was that Jodhpur would attack by 2 p.m. and he sent 2 squadrons of Mysore Lancers on the east and west of this defile, so as to neutralize some guns that were firing from the lower slopes of Mount Carmel, that when the Jodhpur Lancers make that final cavalry dash through the defile or through the river Kishon, these guns should be neutralized so that they don't interfere in the attack of the Jodhpur Lancers. The plan somehow succeeded. That at around 2 o'clock, the Mysore was able to reach their places where the Turkish and the German machine guns and artillery guns, 77mm guns were firing, could have interfered. They neutralized those guns, and 2 p.m. as per the pre-decided timing that was given by the brigade commander, Colonel Haila Holden was the senior special service British officer. He asked Major Dalpat Singh to move the squadron and try and cross river Kishon. As they tried to enter the river Kishon, the earlier horses, that about 5-6 horses called the scout horses, got drowned in the marshy banks of the river Kishon. There was no other option, and Colonel Haila Holden shouted to the leading squadron that please wheel left and attack through the defile, which was already pre-decided. As they were trying to turn left, a machine gun fire burst came and hit Major Dalpat Singh and his trumpet major Sher Singh. Both were felled there. However, they were both carried after the operation was finished into the town of Haifa, where gallantly Major Dalpat Singh died on the operating table that day. When the leading squadron, B squadron, having seen their commanding officer falling down with the burst of the machine gun, they were charged with such kind of bravado that they turned their horses, and within minutes they covered a distance of about 1,000 to 1,200 yards, and they straightaway charged at the machine gunners who were firing onto the charging Jodhpur Lancers. There was a large amount of small arms fire also coming. The artillery guns were firing, but it was such a gallant action that within minutes they mounted and straight crossed the defile, through which lay open the path to the town of Haifa. Within 1 hour, the Jodhpur Lancers made one of the most memorable cavalry action of its kind, in the sense that they captured almost 1,400 Turkish and German soldiers. 25 of them were German and Turkish officers. 14 field guns, 10 machine guns, large amount of ammunition and horses. This has been described in many cavalry action in the war diary dispatches and various books as one of the last great cavalry attacks of the First World War. After the Battle of Haifa, they went on to capture Aleppo on 26th October 1918, which is now in Syria. After 26th October, on 31st October, the armistice was signed. The war came to an abrupt end in the region of the Egypt and Palestine. However, the Jodhpur and Mysore Lancers continued to remain for 1 year plus 3 months as forces of occupation due to Egyptian rebellion, and they remained in Aleppo for almost 15 months, where my grandfather, who had become Major Raman Singh Jodha, remained as the officiating commanding officer of the Jodhpur Lancers. Finally, in February 1920, they sailed back through the Suez to Bombay and arrived through a special train where there was a grand welcome awaiting them at the Jodhpur. Now, when the Jodhpur Lancers finally reached back, Sir Pratap had a grand plan that such a brilliant name was acquired by the Jodhpur Lancers in doing such a gallant action, especially at Haifa. There should be a lasting memorial reminding of coming generations of that gallant cavalry actions at Haifa. So he, along with Brigadier Harbord, made a plan where there was also the Adjutant General branch of the Indian Army had decided and made a policy that in whichever theatre the Indian Army took part, in France, Egypt, Palestine, East Africa, in all these places there will be a memorial